Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. I'm your host, Kyle King, 7-time best-selling author and CEO and founder of the Writer's Game organization, where we help experienced professionals, high-level executives, write, publish, launch, and profit from their story. But it's not about me today. It's about my brother, Joe Brown, is here with us today. He's going to be talking to us about how we can maximize our money during this recession, during this time that we're in, and also be able to give us 7 principles and 7 phases of financial wellness so that you can take advantage of your finances and not just be able to live the life that you want, but set yourself up for generations and generations to come. Joe Brown, how you doing, brother?
Great. Blessed by the best, man. That's an awesome intro.
Hey, man, I try, man. I try. So before we get started, could you introduce yourself and tell us how you're leveraging your story to be able to empower lives?
Well, sure. When I think about my lifestyle or my life, I kind of segment it into 6 different areas. First of all, my faith. My faith is paramount. As a Christian, as a minister, that plays a lot into my story and what I do. And then, of course, my family as a husband and father, and and all the other areas that I play as a family person, as a brother, as a uncle, all those things play. And friends, of course, we have many friends on Facebook, but there are only a few that really matter, that are in the inner circle. So, that matters in my life, to have people around me that lift me higher. Mm-hmm. And of course, fitness. I'm avid about exercise and keeping healthy, practicing martial arts and, things like that. And fun, things that bring a smile to my face and just build that memory. And then last but not least is the finance part. It's, I've always tried to be a good steward of the finances. And that's why I've dedicated a significant portion of my life. And now, significant push right now is to help people alleviate that stress and anxiety around finances and give them that peace of mind. And I do that mainly through the book that I created called The 7 Phases of Financial Wellness. And you alluded to it in your intro, is that one of the things that result from it is that you learn how to build generational wealth. Because it's one thing to build wealth for just yourself, but when you know that you're building it for someone who you may not ever meet but will impact, that's an awesome thing to do. So those are what I think is what I concentrate on life, and I think it's going to be a lot of people impacted by that.
Of course, I think it's this conversation continuously of generational wealth. How do we build wealth? What is, in your opinion, what is the first step for someone to look at their finances and start on their journey of building wealth?
Well, building wealth starts at, now, of course, I broke it down to 7 phases. So, and it's interesting that people, and a lot of times people are good at one of the phases, one of the things that you do. Like, say, for instance, well, I'll just review the 7 phases real quick. Okay. 1 is earn, then you give, then you track, then you protect, then you save, then you spend, then you enjoy. So a person can be good in one area, say, for instance, earning, but we've known through the media that there's a lot of high earners who now work at the fast food place because they miss another area of the phase, like protecting it or tracking it. So when you do all 7, you get a synergy and you begin to see, hey, okay, I'm good at this area, but I need to hone up in these areas. So even if you're at a point where you're making good money, managing it is not the same as making it, because that's a whole nother ball game.
Let me ask you this question. Can you out earn what you spend?
Can you out earn?
Because, I think from a perspective, and this is probably a terrible perspective of mine, every time that I want to do something, my first thought isn't, okay, we can cut areas or we can track better or we can leverage this to protect it. It's, well, how can I create a resource to be able to earn more? I think my focus is always, how do I create something to increase my level of income that I'm making or that I'm bringing in? So is that the wrong perspective? Where would you say somebody starts on this list of 7 phases?
Well, like I said, earn is first, because that is the paramount. That's the chief wealth building, aspect of finances, is earning. And yes, I believe that you should be able to focus on earning, because earning is going to affect everything else. If you have, someone would say your eyes are bigger than your stomach, like that's the way to say it. You want more than what you can eat. But when you have an income that supports your lifestyle, that's the best of both worlds. And that's why I focus on earning, and I focus on telling people you got to start with earning, because that's the big thing right there. So if you want to have a certain lifestyle, earn some money to make that lifestyle. And it's not just about cutting and scrimping and saving, but I tell people you have to make some sacrifices in the beginning so that you can set the groundwork for doing better in the long run.
Of course. So, I know it's always, earn more, earn more. Are you recommending people get a job, create another source of income, build a business? What are you recommending in regards to that earn category? And then we can go through all of the steps.
Earn is the paramount thing that I try to drill in, is have multiple streams of income. So if you are married and you both work, that's 2 streams right there, right? And the thing about it is, make that second income. As I'm getting older, I wanna do less time-oriented work. I mean, earn income and do more things that produce money while I'm sleeping, like passive income, digital products, and the like. So I recommend everyone have one stream of income that, say, pays the bills and forge your life right now, and then one that builds the wealth and eliminates the debt and gets the things in place, so that you can perhaps one time use that second income to replace your job, and now you're totally self-employed, which is the best of both worlds, because the tax system is geared towards self-employed entrepreneurs, and it's just the sky's the limit with your earning potential. So definitely everyone should try to have their own. I don't care if you just have a little stand on the weekend, start doing something, but have a second income where you're earning. And another key thing about that earning is, don't increase your lifestyle right away as you have that second income. See, too often we have what's called that lifestyle creep. So if you earn an extra 10,000, now you're spending the extra 10,000, but you're just as broke at a higher level than you were when you were lower. So use that extra money to enhance your life rather than to bog your life down.
Of course. Before we go into the rest of the 6 steps, which I definitely believe, if anybody's listening right now, I don't want you to miss the 7 steps. So the first step is earn. The second phase is give. The third phase is track. The fourth phase is to protect. The fifth phase is save. Sixth is spend. And then the 7th phase is enjoy. Okay, so write those down. And as we're going through this, we'll try to be able to cover all of them. But before all of these different steps were created, before all of these phases were created, Joe, walk me back, I guess, in your story. How did you get to this point? What is your background in finances, in money management? I know you frame yourself as a money coach. Talk to me about how you got to this point to be teaching this information.
Well, I think about it in many ways. I should be a statistic. Born in the projects of North Philadelphia and housing projects, and started off, in a poor situation, but, by the grace of God, I had parents who taught me some life skills that kept me out of a lot of trouble that a lot of people I grew up with didn't avoid, and I had a good upbringing, and my dad taught me about saving, but despite that, I fell prey to the trappings of society and wanted to live large, and found that my savings began to go down as my debt began to go up. And then all the other things started to fall in place, like bouncing checks and having bill collectors call me, and then pretty soon having a car repossessed. You know how you go out and you click the button, thinking you ask my wife, did you move the car? And she didn't move it. The repo man moved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to the point where a house was foreclosed on, and I had to file bankruptcy. So, you know, when I talk to people, I say I've been through all of it, but despite all that, I got to a point where I said, this is enough. I don't want to live like this for the rest of my life, especially when I got a family dependent on me. So I just started to learn more and to read and to go to trainings and just immerse myself in finance, in personal finance, that is. And as I did that, I saw my income begin to grow, my savings begin to grow, my debt went down, and you know, I reached that prestigious 2 comma, you know, point in my life, and you know, it's been looking up ever since. So I'm not someone who's talking about something that you never went through. I went through most of the things that you can go through, and I made it on the other side, and I can tell you that you can too.
That's powerful, and I appreciate your authenticity and your vulnerability in sharing your story. Before you, I think there's a moment in all of our lives where we're like, enough is enough.
That's right.
Me, years ago, it was the moment where I moved to Charlotte with absolutely nothing. I was living with a friend of mine in his additional bedroom in his apartment. I looked to the right and I noticed that my son was sound asleep, but we were sleeping on an air mattress. With no furniture, with absolutely nothing. And these days were the days where I had to choose between him eating and me eating,
Wow.
you know, because I only had like $10 in my account. So I had to stretch that $10 with different meals. So I understand what it's like to have nothing. And I think as I've created much more in my life, I have a different appreciation for protecting my assets. So what was that moment in your life? Could you walk us through the moment that you said enough is enough and you were ready to like take advantage of your financial situation?
Yeah, I think that moment was part of what I was saying in that story where I had to file bankruptcy. It's like that's almost like a curse word when it comes to finances. It's like that you can't do worse than that, you know, where everything, but all at the same time, it was a thing that is a legal thing, and it cleaned the slate. You know, it said I got a second chance, and I said I don't want to use this second chance to get back here, because a lot of times bankruptcy is just a band-aid solution to a lot of problems, because if you don't solve the underlying behavior that got you there, you're gonna wind up there again. And there's people who file bankruptcy time after time, you know. So I wanted to say, you know, this is not the kind of life I want to live, and I know I can do better. I've been a saver. It's just that, you know, my spending got out of hand, and I know if I save the right way, if I do all the other things, and as I began to read, I discovered these principles, or these phases that I created, and I said, oh, when I read these books, these people are doing this and this. They're not just doing one thing. And it was like, wow. So in 2019, I created the system that's now the 7 phases of financial wellness. And it started off as a seminar that I taught in one of the churches that I belong to. And it started off as a seminar, and I thought, man, I should have 1,000 people, because this stuff is needed, right? And the number wasn't what I expected, but it was a pretty good number for a first seminar. And but then, you know, 2020 came around, the pandemic, and I said, well, we can't do live, and that's what prompted me to say, let me use this extra time that I have and start putting it within a book, so I can reach even more people than I could ever reach in a seminar.
So with all of your phases, you know, I know we've covered earn. How would somebody listening to this right now, their question is, you know, Joe, where do I start? You know, I may I may make a lot of money. I may not have a spending problem. How would they know where to start in regards to the 7 phases of financial wellness?
Well, you start with earn, and it's a way of evaluating yourself and asking some questions. Am I where I want to be? Is my income, is it average to other people in my field? Is it below? Is it above? And then you just walk through each one. You're understanding it as you go through them, but you're using them as a way to evaluate where you are. Okay, my giving. Do I give consistently? Is this someone who can benefit from what I earn that they can't get to it? I do a lot of that through my church giving, that give to an organization that's helping or a cause that you are have a burden for. Mm-hmm. And then you just walk yourself through each phase and you say, okay, I give pretty consistently. What's the next phase? Track. Well, if you're not tracking it, I spent that's one of the big things that made me wake up, because I thought I was good at putting down my expenses, but it was those little expenses that really put me over the top. Like my food expenses, like $5 here, $6 here. And when I began to really track it, I realized I was spending $500 a month on takeout food, and wow. $500 a month. And I thought the bank was siphoning money out of my account. I was like, what's going on? Something is going, I'm tracking the bills, and I know I paid the bills and that, but that money, that will kill your account and kill your budget if you don't track. So you got to track every little expense. And as I began to do that, I saw a way to now, instead of spending that 500, I brought it down to 200. And that's 300 that I realized in my budget that I could use towards something else. And that's when I tell people, if you do a budget, you can give yourself a raise, because you realize the money that you were spending on something else can be captured and can use it to lower debt or to go towards savings and investment. And so it's a complete system. It's not just one and done, but it's evaluating yourself on each level. Insurance, you look at it, the protecting part is covering insurance. If you don't have certain insurances, when something happens, now you have to come out your pocket. One of the stories of one of the seminars, one of the ladies, I told her about life insurance, and unfortunately her son passed as a result, not long after that. And she told me it's because she bought insurance that it saved her from catastrophic loss, that she had insurance. And simply just going to a seminar and hearing the fact so many people in our neighborhood, in our community, die without life insurance or other insurances. And if they had that could be a generational wealth builder in just one move, just getting right life insurance.
So Joe, with you even talking about insurances, because I think these are things that oftentimes we don't talk enough about, especially as authors, as leaders, as parents, any realm that you want, any title or hat that you want to wear.
Right.
You have to, I think out of all of the different things that you've named, with earning, giving, tracking, protecting, saving, spending, and enjoying, I think protecting is probably one of the most important in my opinion. Because right. Even if you earn a decent living, if you're thinking really of generational wealth and thinking of when you pass or if anything happens, defense in sports is much more important sometimes than offense.
Mm-hmm.
Now you still got to score points, you still got to earn money, but right. You have a solid defense. What are some areas that people can be protecting their money, or where can we be positioning ourselves financially so that we can be able to create these protection, avenues as well?
Well, the main one, like I said, is insurance. There's multiple kinds of insurance. There's there's business interruption insurance. There's there's life insurance. There's car insurance. That's legal. You have to have car insurance. But the other ways we protect ourselves is getting out of debt, out of that consumer debt. Because how can you grow your wealth at 10-12% when you're paying debt at 17, 24, 30%? So
Right.
getting that consumer debt out your life is a key component of protecting your wealth building. And another aspect that's talked about less is legal fees. I happen to be associated with a company that provides low-cost legal services. So too often, the first time we interact with an attorney is when something go wrong, instead of having one on your team from the very start. So we protect. That's one of the ways we protect ourselves, is having that team, that advisor, that tax advisor, because taxes is the other great, thing that takes so much from us. If we don't know how to write off expenses that we could easily write off, then we wind up paying more than we want to pay our legal amount, but we don't want to pay any more, than we have to. So, having those right people on your team and just looking at those different things that you can do to protect you work hard for it, and there's always someone else who wants some of it, and you got to learn how to protect it. So,
I read a book, can't remember the name, but it talked about the importance of developing a financial team. And they talked about, you have to have an estate planner, you have to have a CPA,
right.
You have to have a financial advisor, and all of these different people. Are there certain people, with people listening right now into the show, what are, I guess, a few people that every single person should have on their team as they're building their financial wellness team?
I believe that the essential members is, of course, CPA or enrolled agent. That's the person who's going to help you with the taxes, because that's something you have to deal with every year, and even have a session beyond just tax preparation, to have strategy sessions about with that person. What can you do throughout the year so the CPA is one. A lawyer, having some access to legal services is key. I had a situation where someone hit my car in a parking garage, right? Well, no, the actual attendant messed up the car, and I'm riding to the parking garage myself, getting nowhere. So I asked my service, hey, write them. As soon as they wrote the letter, all of a sudden the check comes to me. So it's having a person like that, a lawyer on your team, a CPA, a financial advisor, someone. I'm not a financial advisor per se. I don't sell financial products in terms of like mutual funds and things like that. But I'm a coach. I understand it, but I work with somebody who knows all the ins and outs of that industry. So financial advisor is one, and someone like me, a coach. You need someone who can guide you in all the areas that that you may not know, or you may need to know. So I say those four are advisors. Some people would put their pastor on their team, spiritual advisor. So at least those, I would think, are a good starting point.
Do you think one of the other phases on your list is to save, which I definitely believe that I think the statistic is still the same, where 90% of people in America don't have $1,000 saved in their accounts, which is outlandish to me.
Yeah.
And with that question, with that perspective, how much of people's income should they be saving a month?
How much? Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that have a lot of formulas, but I think you're safe if you try to put away 10 to 15. Now, when I talk about saving, you're saving to the point where you have 3 to 6 months worth of money that's liquid. That means you can get to it. Beyond that, you turn into an investor, and you start to put that money somewhere where it grows, because if you look at bank accounts, they're saving You know, they're up a little higher now, but so
Mhm.
are the interest rates. So, you know, traditionally they're paying you less than 1%, but now, so you don't want to save your entire life savings in a bank because it won't grow. You
Of
know,
course.
based on the rule of 72, if it's 1%, it's going to take it 72 years to double, and that's a little too long for me to wait. So, but you know, save, you know, put when you budget, that's why budget is before that. When you start to budget and you set aside a little, make it automatic. So let it go into a debit account
Mhm.
somewhere automatic so you don't see it. See, money you don't see doesn't bother you. Now, if you get money in your hand, once it's in your hands, it's hard to set it aside. But once if you're doing it automatically, 10% is a good starting point. And then as you begin to invest, you know, you want to bump it up to 15, 20, whatever, you know, now the thing is, as you make more, you know, don't use that lifestyle creep like I talked about earlier. But when you make a 10% more, or use that as a way to grow that money a little bit more rather than spend it right away.
Oh, of course, of course. And I think that's, you know, what I've learned over the years is to save 10% is the low end. I save roughly 35% of my income.
Oh wow.
Now, I'm definitely in a different position
Right.
where I'm able to save a lot more. I keep my business profit margins down. I live a very simplistic lifestyle as
Right.
well. Well, simplistic to me will be different to other people as well. But it's allowed me to save to invest.
Right.
I think saving and investing would be in the same kind of bucket. For me,
Yes,
the
sure.
accounts that I use, anybody listening, the account that I use is the American Express high yield savings account, which is saving at like 3.6%. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, additional money is going into, you know, obviously a brokerage account.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at certain investment accounts, do you recommend mutual funds? Do you recommend IRAs? You know, where should people be investing their money as well?
Well, investments, the first investment, if you on a job and they have a 401k or you nonprofit 403b, is an investment called that. Those type of investments usually offer what is called a matching amount, where you give a certain amount and your employer will match up to a certain amount. So it's almost doubling your money right from the start. So that should be the first part, because you know, you basically getting free money to invest. Now the drawback is you have to wait, you know, because that's a retirement account. You can't take it out without penalty, or you can borrow it, but you got to pay that back. But that is one, and then the Roth IRA, where it has a certain limit per year, but you pay that, you invest in that, and it grows interest free, meaning you pay. I mean, it grows interest free. I'm sorry, it grows tax free. So you
Okay.
pay the tax up front on it. So when it grows to a certain amount and you take it out, the government doesn't take any taxes out of it. So that's the second one. So the first one is the 401k. The second one is the Roth IRA. And the third one is just something you can go to your. I suggest a fiduciary, which is a person who works on your behalf and all, you know, doesn't work for any particular investment company, but they find something that's good for you and works for you, so that you're not, because if you work for a certain company, they're only going to push that company stuff. But
Of
if
course.
you fiduciary, they shop around and find the best one for you rather than just pushing any one place. So 1, 2, 3, 401k, Roth IRA, and then just a regular uh, mutual fund, or the new thing is the ETFs, or the funds where you can just put it in, it'll mimic the market, you know.
Yeah,
So
of
you
course.
you don't have to do any complicated, but it's less fees. So, but the best thing is to get in it, you know, and learn it as you go through, you know.
I think anybody listening right now, if you're still with us on the Writers Game podcast, you want to be able to start. You got to start somewhere. what Joe Brown has been able to say throughout this whole call is you got to be able to start. You need to be able to budget your money. Yes, it's okay. The first and most important part is to earn higher income. Yes. But if you're earning higher income, if you're in the sea and there's a hole in the boat, it doesn't matter if you continue to get it out, it's still going to fill up the actual boat and it's going to end up drowning you. Okay. You got to identify the behaviors, the habits, and change those first before you just go off and start making more money, because you're going to make more money and you're going to experience the same level of challenges and the same problems that you're experiencing. Okay. So then once you understand that, you got to give. You got to give, whether it's to a church, whether it's to a nonprofit, whether it's to a homeless shelter. You want to get into the habit of giving because life gives to the giver. Then when we want to be able to protect ourselves, we got to have obviously car insurance, health insurance, but you want to be able to have life insurance. You want to be able to have insurances that can protect you. Protect yourself by having an estate attorney, wills, all of these different things, living wills, so that you can be able to protect yourself as well as create generational wealth. Saving. Joe recommends you save 10 to 15%. I'm saving a little bit more, but you have to save based upon what you can actually handle and put that on a budget and automatically transfer that over. Joe, I know we haven't talked about two things, and I want to just touch on these: spending and enjoying. All of those first five, I think you won't be able to enjoy anything if you don't do those first five correctly.
Right.
What should people, in your opinion, what's your formula on how much you should be spending in regards to the money that you're earning a month?
Well, spending is a product, goes back to the other things. That's why I said if you're doing one, you have to do all five. Spending is a product of your budget. If you set aside, say, $100 a month towards clothes, then you know that you when you get to a store and something is $500, that's not for you, right?
That's
And then if you don't spend for 5 months and you save up that 500, then that 500 can go towards that expense. But one of the things that I stress is that we look for things that we ought to be frugal. Frugal basically is not cheap, but frugal is looking for the best price, negotiating, not always buying the first thing that you see. Shop around, do some research. Buy in bulk or something like that, and then think assets versus liabilities. I mean, if I buy, and I think about it now, I went in the shoe store and I said, well, these shoes are nice. These are $500, but how much silver can I buy for the same money? And the silver is going to grow in value. And so I said, maybe I shouldn't buy the shoes. I should buy this. And silver, you might not be silver for you. It might be something else. But the idea of I might spend $500 for my education or something along those lines. So whenever you think about buying something, think about the opportunity cost. What opportunity am I going to miss out by spending this, especially when it's going to go down in value as opposed to spending this? So those are some of the things that you ought to think about before you spend.
I love that. And I think a lot of these things are spot on. I think it's spot on. I think with these seven phases, I love how you captured everything. And if anybody's listening right now, the earning is by far the most important. You're not going to be able to do the things that you want, create generational wealth, if you're not earning enough to take care of your lifestyle, as well as put money away towards investing and towards saving for the next generation. Number two is giving. You want to be able to, again, have the heart and the spirit to give. Number three is tracking. If you don't have a budget, I need you to go to Joe Brown. I need you to get a budget, and I need you to have him help you develop some type of budget for your finances. Number four, protecting. You have to play defense just as much as you're focused on playing offense. Number five is saving. You have to have a system of saving money consistently. And number six is spending, so that you can do number seven, which is enjoying. Joe, if somebody is in the position where they're trying to do better, they're trying to create financial wellness, what would you have to say to that person?
Say that again?
if somebody is trying to create financial wellness, is somebody trying to really transform their life, what would the thing be that you say to that person?
Well, despite no matter where you are, if you're willing to start, there's hope for you because, as I said earlier, I've failed so many ways financially, and I've come back from it stronger than ever. So, the fact that you are where you are is start where you are. There's people who like billionaires who like Sam Walton started his first Walmart in his 40s and died the richest man in the world. So wherever you are, it doesn't matter, but start where you are and start building from there, and you'll see it grow, you'll see it enhance.
There it is. There it is. Wherever you are right now, I want you to start. Whether it's starting on your financial journey, whether it's starting on writing that book, whether it's starting creating another source of income, we want you to be able to start where you are so that you can be able to create the life that you envision. Joe, where can we find your resources? Where can we find you online? And where can people support your efforts to being able to create financial wellness within the communities?
Well, certainly you can find me on Instagram at jbrown1x3, or you can just type in my site is www.7phasesofFinancialWellness.com, and you can check me out there.
There it is. Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure. We appreciate you so much. We are on another episode of the Writers Game podcast where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. And we will see you guys next episode.
Thank you, Kyle. Take care.